Like, the Lord is speaking. I just got the chills. I got the chills. Y'all, this is me wrapping up my first spiritual fast. I, for a long time, kind of had this idea, like people talked about it in services, and were like, you should fast, like fasting, this, da, da, da. And like, obviously it's spoken in the Bible, but I didn't really like read my Bible until like this past year. So I just never really knew what it entailed, like what you were doing. Like, are you giving up everything? Like, how many days is it? This and that. And so I've been doing more research, and then just like been coming across it more frequently, and like obviously trying to get closer to God. And fasting came up, and like when you need something spoken to you, you need like revelation in your life, just something specific kind of you're trying to work through, just any enlightenment you need from God is a good time to fast. And I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and I was like upset and like sharing some of the things that were stressing me out or just upsetting me. And she's like, why don't you fast? Like, I think you should probably fast. And I was like, you literally just gave me validation. Like, I needed that confirmation. So thank you. Thank you, God. And I had been thinking about it, but I was like, oh, I'll do it once my mom and my sister leave, because like I know I won't be able to do it and like commit to it while they're here. Because like the whole two pieces of fasting is like you're giving up your fleshly desires, whether it's food, whatever. Typically it's food, and you are spending more time with God in prayer, you're in your word more, just in silence more, and it's really a time to like let him speak to you and just kind of show your devotion and your discipline for him. So I was gonna wait, and I was contemplating doing like the Daniel 21-day fast, where you basically just eat like fruits, vegetables, and drink water, which I still think I want to do at some point, but I obviously didn't have 21 days right now. So I was happy because I was like, I'm just gonna start tomorrow. Like after I had that kind of breaking point and got upset and like called my friend, because typically I can like feel like it might not always be good, but I feel like I can handle things myself. Like I'm not a big like call people right away when something happens. I feel like I can process it. Depends on what it is, but I feel like most of the time I can process it, kind of go through it on my own. And then at some point when I maybe need like counsel or something, I'll like share. But besides that, maybe if it comes up in conversation later, I'll like let them know. Sorry, that was not a nice face. But basically won't let them know kind of what is going on until after the fact, which doesn't always mean it's a good thing, because like maybe I carry more than I should on my own, but neither here or there. That's not the point. But basically after that call, I was just like, I'm gonna do it. So for the last 7 days, I committed to giving up social media, which kind of hard for me. Like it's obviously a pleasure, but I give it up pretty frequently, so it wasn't something I'd never done. TV, music, swearing, and then food-wise, I did sugar, sweets, carbs, meat, caffeine, dairy, which the hardest one for me is caffeine. I haven't had caffeine in 7 days, and your girl was working hard last week. When I tell you, like working before 6 a.m., like grinding, no caffeine, first week back in the gym in a couple weeks, like 2. And yeah, so like, and I had been enjoying my coffee, like my Bible time in the morning, making my little cup of coffee and drinking. Now that it's fall and just like curling up with God in the morning. So I was like, yo, I miss my coffee and I miss being like wired for the gym. But I needed a detox from caffeine, so I'm like so excited. There's nothing I'm looking forward to more than caffeine tomorrow, because like I just know that first sip is just gonna like wake up my body. And then lastly, dairy. So I typically use like alternative milks, but that was one thing that helped me with the coffee, because I don't drink my coffee black. So I was like, girl, even if you want the caffeine, you can't have it because the dairy, so you're not gonna like it. But so no ice cream, no milk, no cheese. Cheese is probably the hardest one. And then like eggs and stuff like that. I did have eggs the first couple days when I was still having chicken. But that was kind of me, like, I have like a vegan protein, so that's what I was using. Got a few other vegan items, but I'd say mainly I was eating like my natural peanut butter, a lot of dates, vegetables, fruits. Like that was pretty much my main focus. I made a couple smoothies, chia seed. I made like my chia seed pudding, because you can have like nuts, beans, lentils, things like that. So a lot of hummus. A lot of hummus and veggies, cooked veggies, raw fruits, lots of bananas and peanut butter, and yeah. So just like whole foods, it was good for you. And honestly, it reminded me that I need to get back to like eating simpler and like less like that. Like I'm definitely not like cutting out carbs or meat or caffeine or dairy from like my life completely, but it made me realize that those things need to be more of like a luxury and not a day-to-day thing, and that I just need to get back to like whole eating, and I feel like I haven't for a while. I say this right before my mom and sister get here, and I'm just gonna indulge while they're here because I'm excited for them to visit. Oh, and alcohol. So sugar, sweets, carbs, meat, caffeine, dairy, alcohol. Didn't have alcohol the whole time. But yeah, so like I'm proud of what I did. I like tracked what I did. The other point is obviously spending more time with God and in prayer. So the first couple days feel like we're good. Honestly, the day before I fasted, I literally I've been like taking notes heavily while I've done this. That's literally all just from this week of fasting. But I wrote down like basically intentions. So this is the beginning. This is what I wrote when I was sad a week ago. And I wrote to God why I'm fasting, why I need him. Just like basically wrote out my prayer. I wrote out all my firsts, and this is what I was excited to share with you guys. This year has consisted of going to church alone, which I've already done, but just like in this environment and sitting up close and just like overall, it's just different. My church streak, I don't know how many Sundays out of the year I've gone, but I do know that I've listened to more sermons than there are days in the week. And like I never miss a week, and then like add on more. The young adults going Thursday nights, like any Thursday night that I'm pretty much available, I would say there's probably been like a handful since January, February that I haven't gone to. Just the way I worship is different. The way I like talk to God, like worship is when I feel very connected to God and just like that he hears me, like singing those words, he hears me and believes them, and just like I feel like that's when we connect. And the music I listen to, cutting out so much secular music, like that's new. My language, how I talk, I feel like I talk more life into things and have just a whole different perspective, and people can hear God in me, if that makes sense, and just being able to talk more from the Bible. Language, like I'm not swearing. Bible and books that I've read. Like, I'm getting into the Bible. I don't know when my goal will be to finish it. I really don't want to set one anymore. Like, I've gone through the like year to like 2 year timeline with things, but I really just kind of want to continue at the pace I'm on. Like, I don't want to ever not be reading it. Like, I spend time in the Word every day, even if it's just a verse and reflecting on it, or a chapter, or a whole book. Like, I'm spending time in the Word every day regardless. But finishing the Bible in total, like, I just don't really want to set a date on that right now. My baptism on Good Friday back in April, got baptized. Volunteering, this is my first time getting into volunteering and serving at a church, preaching back. I mean, talking in church. Like I mentioned, my whole thought process is different. Spending time with God daily, praying to Him multiple times a day, talking about Him on my social media and my YouTube, my commitment to sharing His good news with people now because of that. Being front row at church, not being scared to be in the back, being up there, dancing, singing for God, dancing for Jesus, dancing with Jesus. And lastly, celibacy. We'll talk about that one in another video on its own, but that was a commitment I made to myself this year. So that was a long list. Like, that was 3, 6, 9, like over 15 things. And like, some of those things are not small things. So like, I just smile and look back on this year and how proud I am of myself and my relationship with God, and just like what is ahead for me because of it. And it's just a beautiful thing. And that's why I just felt really called to do the fast, because I felt like I was at a pivotal moment with my relationship with God, and like trying to figure out things to take it to the next level. And what has come to my mind is like sharing His word with people, and just like sharing who I am, a child of God, with more people. And then 2 is fasting. So then that's kind of what led to my fasting, to get that clarity and everything. I wrote down a list of all the things that I wanted to pray for and gain clarity on, and just be closer to God with. Healing Little Monroe, and the things that I'm aware of and also not aware of, or like blocked from my memory. My relationship with my family, especially my father, and the ways that people haven't shown up like you in my life. How my struggles with my relationships with my family have subconsciously affected my relationships with men. Financial knowledge, peace and freedom, self-esteem and confidence. I want to believe what you say about me, believing it like I say it about myself. Staying true to you in this path I've started on this year. Break my bondage and chains to anything and all things that don't align with you and your purpose for me. And discernment and faith, believing what I can't see. So those are kind of the main areas, which basically every area of my life. But I literally, after I wrote that, I was like, there's no better person, Lord, to come to with all of this than you, because you're the creator of all things. You are the God of miracles. So like, this is your wheelhouse. So like, let's just share it all with you. And coming to the end of it, obviously I didn't gain clarity on all of these things, and I didn't have this new revelation with all of them and feel completely healed and fixed and blah, blah, blah. And like, God can do that. Like, I believe He can. I think I could wake up tomorrow and it could all be changed. And I pray it does. I pray it does. I speak that over my life. But I think I got so much meaning and enlightenment to fasting in general. And this is just kind of the beginning. Like I was telling my friend today, I was like this is my first time doing it. Like I'm not gonna be perfect in what I'm doing, and like just trying to figure it out. But I think that was like the beautiful part of it. Like I've wrote down questions to ask myself of like how many days, like the duration, what I'm gonna give up, what my meaning is behind it, and like praying over that and having the Lord guide me. And that's kind of what I did for this one and just want to continue to do in the future. And I think it just continues to push me and open parts of my brain to figure out other ways to approach God, to talk to God, to seek Him, and to hear from Him. So just, I think that time with Him is sacred, and I really got into it this past weekend. I'd say the first couple days I was weaning off a few things, and I feel like I kind of reflected a day or two into it, because I was like, Tuesday, Wednesday, I feel like I was able to spend a little more time with Him, but really it was just getting into some of the plans. And my friend suggested some good ones that related to what I'm trying to work on in my life. So it was great, but I felt like I could be giving Him more. So Saturday, I went to the gym and went to the farmer's market for a little bit before the gym. But besides that, literally was in the Word, spent the most time I've ever spent praying, and then like listened to a few podcasts when I like needed to kind of not hear my own thoughts for a minute and like hear someone else's perspective. Then started reading more stuff on fasting and kind of intentions behind it. And then same with Sunday, besides volunteering, like really spent a lot of time with Him. And I just feel like really good after this past weekend, and like really confident in the insight I've gotten and like the way I'm moving forward from this. And I feel like it's just kind of the beginning, and like I think that's kind of the exciting part for me. And I'm just like really happy about it. Girl was tired, wasn't always easy. Your girl was a couple days in and she's like, oh, we can just be done. I'm like, girl, just because you want your coffee on a Saturday morning doesn't mean that we're just done. So I'm glad I pushed through. I'm glad I went through the full weekend, because I can't imagine not having the time that I did with God this past weekend, because I think that's when I kind of had my breakdown and my breakthrough. Like I feel like whenever I break down, that's when I have a breakthrough. And I had a moment when I was like in prayer with God and like started crying. And because of some of the plans I was doing in the Bible app, it helped me with some things I needed to reflect on. And I think it's kind of helped me continue to get to the root of some of my issues. So it's just really good, and I'm excited. I just wanted to share that. And like a big part of why I didn't share it in my last video is because like you're not supposed to share with others like when you're fasting. Things you're doing for God, you're not supposed to like do in front of people and like boast in front of people. Like that's just kind of like not fake faith, but it's just not what God wants. And like I think it also goes with like people who like openly show they're like praying in athletics. I have mixed reviews. I don't know. Like, I know you probably pray to Him in the locker room too and do other things, but I don't want to get into this controversial conversation right now, but we can talk about that later. But basically, you're not supposed to share with people when you're doing it. So like, no one knew that I was doing it. Obviously it's easier. I work from home, but just like avoided certain situations. And like the fasts, you can do ones where you don't drink or eat anything, even water, which I think's a little crazy, but I do at one point. You obviously do them shorter, or you just do them to a certain point in the day, almost like intermittent fasting, where you skip a certain meal and like spend that time with God. So I think that might be my next, or the Daniel fast, and I will share those with you guys as well. Check fasting on my list. of first things this year. How many more can we do in 2 months, 2.5 months, baby? God is good. Let's see what he can do. Love you guys. I hope you have a good night. And I can't wait to share more of my journey with you.